Welcome to another episode of Trap Talk. Today we have our guest, Lauren Dunn, who is a 15-time All-American. We also have Ricky Marshall Jr., Jake Bundy, and Chris Gerber. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Hey, guys, ladies.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Pleasure to be here. Now, Ricky, you have some information on Lauren. I know I mentioned she was 15-time All-American, but you've got some more details and some personal information on that you can share.
Yeah, Lauren is a 15-time All-American. I think you were sub-junior All-American a couple years in there.
Yep,
and then you went on.
twice.
Okay, and then you went on to, I guess it was women's, and now it's Lady One, if I'm not mistaken. So, and Lauren's also if I'm not mistaken, she was the second woman to ever win a Grand Ring, and that was at the 2013 Grand American. And reason I know that is I was the one that took runner-up that year in the shoot-off. So it was a fun time. But we'd like to welcome you to the show. And
Congratulations on all your success, Lauren, and thank you for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you.
So one thing that we want to ask, I mean, I'm aware because I went to school with you at Lindenwood of your shooting career in your past, but share with our listeners how you got involved in the shooting and really the journey that brought you to here today.
So I was very fortunate. My grandfather owned a shooting range. So I grew up, it was in my backyard when I was little. And then in '99, they built a bigger version of it. So I was able to walk across my backyard, hang out at a trap range, and then got started shooting, obviously, through my grandpa. So when they built it over in '99, that's when I really got itching to start shooting a little bit. When I turned 11, my dad and my grandpa took me out with a shotgun and let me start shooting. So I think we joined the same year, Zach, in 2004.
Yes,
So
I'm an 04 number.
Yeah. So my grandpa had always been an avid trap shooter, obviously, since he owned a gun range. And having that kind of talent behind me made a big difference moving forward. And having, the state shoot has been at Brittany since 1999 as well. So they've been all sorts of big names, Ricky and Leo and Zach, you've been there to learn from and grow from. Having those there was a big part of it for sure.
So Lauren, I know you've grown up in that gun club environment. Can you tell the listeners what's different about being involved in running a gun club and being a shooter versus just most of us where we're just shooters?
Well, honestly, I don't know what it's like to be just a regular shooter. Since I grew up, I was running score sheets when I was little on my scooter. Every chance I got, I was keeping score. And then once I was old enough, I was actually helping run the shoot. So it was like between helping mom with a computer system and figuring trophies, I'd have to run out and shoot and then run back in. And since we do that at Illinois, Kentucky, Indiana, Wisconsin, or have done that at Kentucky, that's kind of just the main way I know. It's almost weird to go to a shoot and be able to just hang out and enjoy the shoot. It's almost like I need that solving problems and entering scores and keeping myself busy so I don't contemplate so much what I did wrong or moving on from there and just enjoying while the time that I have on the line. It's better to keep my mind busy almost more.
yeah, we understand that. Well, Lauren, I got a question for you. So you worked for the, I guess, IDNR?
Yes.
Running Sparta, was in charge of the World Shooting Complex. And you did that for a couple years?
3 years. Yep.
Okay. And then now you have transitioned to a new job with the NCSSAA, the new Collegiate Shooting Association.
Correct.
So how's that going for you?
I'm loving it. My job is to work with the different ranges that we are going to be having our events at and get contracts in place with them, figure out pricing, who needs to do what kind of deal with those shoots, kind of like I've done at the other ones too. And I also get to work with different ranges that want to improve, that want to build more skeet fields, more trap fields, and help them write letters for their grants or help them write their grants in general so that we can have more bigger ranges available for more people to shoot at.
So you're doing this year, it's in Las Vegas, or 2023, it's in Las Vegas. Do you have a 2024 gun club in mind?
we're looking at a few options. We haven't nailed down yet, but what we're trying to do is to keep it at the different regions every year. So we don't have it at the same location. So the schools on the East Coast don't have to go all the way to the West Coast to be able to compete. We'll rotate it so that they can have a little bit shorter drive every 3 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, here's a question for you. So you're sponsored by Federal, you're sponsored by Kohler. So when I first met you, you weren't shooting a Kohler. So you got a Kohler gun. You want to explain to us how you received that Kohler gun?
Yes. So I was at Brittany Shooting Park, and Bill Martin came up and shot the Central Zone shoot at Brittany. And my grandpa was like, you need to meet this guy. He's an awesome guy. I didn't know who he was. He handed me his Kohler and said, here, go shoot it. Okay. I didn't do very well. It wasn't set up to me, but I was like, yeah, it's a really nice gun, Bill. I really enjoyed it. Thank you. And then my birthday was a week later at the Grand. So I get done shooting doubles. I go back to my camper to dump my holes. And on my birthday, there was a Kohler sitting outside on my table. It's like, Dad, you bought me a Kohler? Like, that's awesome. Thank you so much. And he's like, I did not put that there. That is no. And I opened it up and it had a certificate with my name on it from Bill and Pete Martin for a Wenig stock. Like, my jaw dropped. I was like, holy cow, I just met this dude last week and he bought me a Kohler. That is the coolest thing that's ever happened in my life. And ever since then, I've been a diehard Kohler shooter. It's been an amazing gun since I was 17 and I'm 30 now. And I've had no issues with it.
Bill has done a lot for shooting sports, gun clubs. I know I think he donated some stuff to Brittany Shooting Park at one time or another. He's done a lot of stuff for gun clubs all over the country. Tucson Trap and Skeet's pretty much the livelihood of Bill Martin, helping out and stuff. But yeah, you've like I said, when I first met you, you broke your first 100 in doubles, I remember, at the Indiana State shoot in Fortville.
With a Super X1.
Yeah. Now, how old were you then?
I was 13.
13. So I broke all the doubles that week at Indiana. And I remember your mom saying, did you break the doubles today? And I said, yeah. She went, oh. And I said, why? She goes, Lauren broke her first 100. I was like, no kidding. And I said, well, that's awesome, So then your dad come up and said something. And I said, well, I tell you what, if she wants to split the added money, then she can have the championship, because I know what it's like to win your first, big, breaking your first 100, win your first big thing. So it's like, hey, there's no reason. I've been fortunate to win stuff. So I was like, I'll let, you can have that. And your dad right away is like, oh yeah, she'll do that. And I was like, no. She has to agree to it. Because if she wants to shoot off, then I'll shoot off. I was pretty much in a no-win situation. But
the way I figure it is, she might have went out there and beat you like at the Grand, and then that's two for that she's got on you. You know what I mean?
See, that's exactly what I was thinking. When we got done with the shoot off at the Grand, and I missed my last target in the shoot off, and Lauren won. I never forget. Mitchell Lovelace looked over at me like, "What'd you just do?" And I was like, "I missed the first. The last doesn't matter, But I was so happy for you. And then later on, I'm like, man, I let her beat me then in forfeiting, and now she beat me again.
It's a twofer.
But that's awesome, to be a part of that and see what you progress from as a little girl shooting till now, where you were running Sparta. Now you're a big part of the new collegiate, association. So you've grown leaps and bounds in the shooting organization.
And honestly, that's why I was so excited to take this job, because I got a lot of help when I was younger. The guys like you who gave me opportunities when they arose. So if I've been the AIM director for Illinois. I'm a director now. I was the delegate, and now I'm working for a youth shooting organization, which as soon as he was telling me about it, I was like drooling. I was wanting on board for sure. It's such a great organization, and I was honored that they let me be on the team.
Yeah, I think you'll do great things. I'm really looking forward to it. This year, our college team, Dunn, we're competing in ACUIs for 2023, and then we're going to end up probably switching just because of some other reasons we had with my schedule and getting the kids stuff. But I'm looking forward to being a part of that organization.
Awesome. Glad to hear it.
Yep.
All right, So, Lauren, with this new position you've taken, do you get to travel at all, see some of these new gun clubs, or like see these gun clubs that you're helping expand to as an experience?
I do. I get to work from home through the week. And then when there's events, I get to travel to those events and help make sure that they're functioning properly as well. There's one in Oklahoma that they're working on building that I'm hoping to get down to. I've been helping the president work on his grant information too. Yeah, that will be part of it, getting to see these ranges and help them build their layouts for their plans. And yeah, that's my favorite part of this, is going to be seeing all the different ranges that I never got an opportunity to see before and help them grow too.
Have you been to any so far that you would say are really neat, or ones that you can't wait to go back to?
Not so far. I just started in the middle of October, and that was right towards the end of their event. So in the spring, I'll get to travel more and see more ranges.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Living the dream, right?
Right.
So Lauren, I want to get a little technical with you, and I am aware you're a one-eyed shooter. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So share with the listeners kind of what your mindset is, how you set up, what your shooting style is, and where the big mental shift was from, being a younger shooter coming up in the ranks to a world champion.
That was a lot. So as a one-eye shooter, it's kind of a handicap for us, but I'm very left side dominant and I can't do anything with my left hand. So my option was to just be a one-eye shooter. I have to hold lower on the house being a one-eyed shooter, because if you get your barrel up too far, then you cover up the target coming out of the house, and that just beats you every time. You have to be able to see it coming straight out of the house. But other than that, I'm not really sure there's a big difference in being a one-eye shooter and a two-eye shooter, other than that small handicap of seeing it come out. I know a lot of women are typically one-eye shooters, and I haven't gotten into the science of what that is, why that happens, but it does seem to be that women are more one-eye shooters than men. As far as how what was the other part of your question?
The shift from when you were just coming up as a young shooter to becoming a world champion. I mean, was there mental training that you did? Was there physical training that you did, or did it just slowly progress over time?
Honestly, it was more of a progression over time. It all comes together. A big part of that, I think, was growing up on the trap range and hearing from all the different people and taking little pieces from a lot of different shooting styles and then tweaking them to be my own. I honestly can't remember a pivotal moment of it, but I remember at Collegiate Nationals, when we were shooting off in 2013, before I won the Grand Ring, we had, who was Craig Hancock, was a mental coach that was there. And he worked with us a lot on training for your eyes, making sure that your eye focus was the soft focus to hard focus made a big difference for me. And that wasn't something that was talked about a lot before, but you hear it talked about a lot now. But that was huge. That was a big moment when he taught me that. And then that year was probably my best year of shooting that I've had so far.
So it's Craig's fault that is why you won the Grand Ring. I'd say.
Right.
So do you train a lot now, or is it more just go from shoot to shoot? And do you set goals? Do you write things down? What's that look like?
Goals are important. Goals are so important. Having long-term goals and short-term goals, and tweaking them often. If you decide that in 3 months, I want to have a 98 singles average, and you're getting to the 2-month point and you're at a 96 kind of a deal, then something else, you need to change your goal, reevaluate where you are and set more realistic expectations, but still keep your long-term goals in mind too. So.
No, absolutely. Now, as far as goals, do you have any like bucket list goals that you want to achieve that you haven't?
The Grand Slam. That elusive
so
100 from the 27. I've had so many 99s and I cannot get that 100 from there. I'm to the point now, honestly, that Ricky, you might be able to give me a pointer. I break 5 targets in a row and I'm like, oh, I got the first 5 out. That's usually where I miss. I can break my 100 today. It's so hard to talk yourself back down from that. It's so hard. You got to keep reminding yourself one target at a time, but you've already got that 100 in your mind and you're just so focused because I've wanted it so bad for so long. I made it to the 27 at 15 and I'm 30 now and I still haven't gotten it. So,
how many straight have you been? What's the long run for you from the 27?
At the Grand 2 years ago, I think 3 years ago, I made it 78 before I missed. That's the closest I've been.
Okay. Well,
Honestly,
what's that?
Most of my 99s I do miss in the first 10 targets, and then I don't miss again after that. It's just the nerves initially to get out of the way, and then just staying in the game is
So you
much
get
easier.
nervous. You're nervous starting out, is what you're saying?
Right. If you're in them
So
good, it feels good, and that 100 straight just goes through your mind for just a second. That's all it takes, and then you're done.
well,
and then
I will.
fun, and then the pressure's off, and you're good after that.
Yeah, I will tell you that in handicap, you know, I've been fortunate that I think I've got 28 hundreds from the 27, but I've missed the last target for a 99. I've missed the first target out for a 99. And that was with Bill Martin actually 1 year at Vernal. But I will tell, you tell the listeners, you always want to break 100. I mean, when I go out to shoot, I always say, I'm going to break 100. But when you're on that line, you don't think about the 100. You got to break target 1, 2, 3, 4. So, but I understand what you're saying about missing. I mean, the Cardinal Classic this year after the Grand, I had 3 99s there, and 2 of them I missed out of the first 5, and I had a 98. And I missed 2 out of the first 5. So it happens, but you just got to. If you're caught up in your mind of breaking that 100, all you got to do is you walk out when you shoot handicap. Just think about breaking each target, not the elusive 100 or not even 25 straight, just one at a time. And you'd be surprised that it'll come. I mean, you've got the ability.
And one of the other things I did that helped me a lot was instead of, you missed 3 targets and you're like, well, dang, I'm at a 97 now already. No, you're not. You're however many you broke is where you're sitting. If you're down 3 out of the first 15, you're not at a 97, you're at a 12. And that makes a big difference mentally too. So
absolutely.
Mentally staying focused. I've shot with you for several years. And the one thing that I haven't asked you about after whatever it is, 12, 15 years now, how do you like shooting post 1 so much and so good? Because it is ridiculous.
honestly,
Shooting
like
with
we
you.
talked about,
Shooting with you is so nice because I don't have to worry about any responsibility because I know Lauren will take care of it.
right? And like I was saying earlier with running these shoots, I do better if my mind is distracted. If I'm literally am just thinking about the target that I'm shooting at when my gun comes up, but for the whole rest of the time I'm waiting for the rest of my squad to finish, I'm thinking about the scorekeeper who can't say loss properly. I'm thinking about the guy back there with his barking dog that can't get it under control, or the trap that's down 3 traps down and you wonder what's actually happened to it, or keeping an eye on everybody that you're shooting with targets. I'm way better off thinking about all of that until your gun is about to come up to your shoulder. And
until
that's why I like
until Susie wants that tent moved 10 feet.
Right. We've got to get this tent off the golf cart path between rounds. But yeah, honestly, that's why I like post 1 so much, is because I have to pay attention to more than just me.
Now, say for a new shooter, what are the pieces of advice that you would give to become a good leadoff? Say you got someone in high school who's kind of taking charge, but you see him making little tiny mistakes, just not correcting the right thing or getting the score sheet signed off in the correct manner if they called a loss instead of a dead.
Honestly, that person probably shouldn't be a leadoff anymore would be the way to fix that. But if you have to be a leadoff, you just have to remember that there's more to this shoot than just your score at that point. You got to pay attention to what your friends are doing on your squad as well and keep that in mind. And when you're not on leadoff, like help out your squad leader a little bit because they are looking out for you. You got to help look out for them a little bit too.
Okay. So Lauren, you've been to, I don't know how many state shoots you've attended, but is there a bucket list state shoot you want to try and go to, or just a shoot in general that you want to try and hit in the next few years?
I want to get out to Vernal. I've never been to Vernal and I've heard great things about that and Spanish Fork. And everyone, when I bring up my Grand Slam, is like, yeah, you got to get out there. That's where you're going to do it. So
Yeah,
those are definitely bucket list
print
items.
those out there like you're counterfeiting money.
That's what I've heard. They have a wall of people who they've got their 100 straight from the handicap on there.
Oh, I couldn't believe it. I went up there one time and I broke 99, 99, 99, 98, 97 in the handicap. I went to the clubhouse. I was walking like I was the Jolly Green Giant. And there was, and I think it was Tim Reed. He had 300s and 299s I said, what the heck is going on? I said, this place is crazy.
Was that at Spanish, Zach?
Yeah, that was at Spanish. I was the first day I ever shot it. We shot a 500 handicap marathon. And like I said, I shot, pretty fantastic for the day for me. And Tim Reed only missed 2 targets that day out of 500. And I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, I've shot a lot of targets at Spanish. I never did break 100 handicap. I did break my first 100 in doubles, and it was actually my first 200 straight and everything. It was in doubles at Spanish, but I watched Daryl Handy break 499 out of 500 handicap there one year.
Well, that was a part of his 505 run, correct?
Yes, it was. Yeah, he missed the 3rd target out or 2nd target out and run 490 some straight. And that was over a week too. That wasn't a marathon. That was an actual shoot. And they had 5 handicaps and he broke 499.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't know about Darrow, but I mean, he was known at the time as one of the best handicap shooters in the country. On the West Coast, he dominated. I mean,
absolutely.
California, up and down the West Coast, you can't go to a gun club without Darrow Handy's name, hung on a plaque for winning a handicap. But
yep.
Lauren, I know you mentioned, kind of backtracking a little, the one-eye shooting. I've shot with you a bunch. You're not slow. You're fast. How do you pick that target up so fast as a one-eye shooter? And like when you're going to the target, like what are you focusing on? Is it just eyes on the bird and go as hard as you can, or what are you trying to do here?
Yeah, like I said, you've got to hold low so you can see the target as soon as it comes out. And then you just react. You have a soft focus. I usually hold my bead on the front lip of the house, just underneath, so you can see it come out immediately. And I usually have my soft focus out a little bit farther in front of the trap. So as soon as there's movement, I just react. You see it, your gun goes where your eye goes, and as soon as you have your hard focus on that target, you pull the trigger. And it's just over time, honestly, I think it's still getting a little bit faster. But the faster you go, I think there's less room for errors. And there's a big difference in shooting fast and jumping into the target and being deliberate with your movement. And a lot of that, I think, helped a lot. What helped a lot was winter practice, was, just the gun mounts at home and just kind of a slow motion move, as if you're standing on post 1 and you're going to a hard left, or post 4 straight away. And the more you make that motion, the more your body knows how to make that motion, and it just gets a little bit quicker over time.
Now, Lauren, is there any certain shooting routine that you follow, or do you, I know some shooters, some of the listeners always want to know, what do you do to practice? Do you just go out and shoot singles? Do you shoot handicap? Do you shoot doubles? Do you shoot other disciplines?
I do a lot of post work.
Okay.
What that is, really, for the people who don't know what that is, if I can't hit a hard right on post 5 to save my life, I will set the trap on a hard right and I will stand on post 5 and I'll shoot an entire box from that post until it's comfortable. And then once you do it 25 times, then it's not so scary anymore. Then you can just go out and it's no big deal. It doesn't intimidate you anymore because you've figured it out. And that's a big part of it too.
Yeah, that's the mental part of this game is, and we haven't really touched a lot on that, but the mental aspect of shooting is about 90% of this game. If any negative thoughts are in your head, or you're scared, you're tense, it's going to cause you to miss targets that uncontrollably to you, because you're trying to react to something in a whippish way that doesn't work. So yeah, that's what I wondered. Now, do you shoot any of the other disciplines anymore? Because I know in college, you guys had to shoot, skeet and sporting and stuff, but do you still compete at that?
I shoot practice sporting clays. I have not registered sporting clays before, but I do like to go out to Joker's Wild or the local place and shoot a little bit sporting or 5-stand. Skeet, I really like shooting skeet, but I haven't shot it in a while. I'm gonna have to get back out there and do that again. But I think shooting more definitely helps your trap game too. It makes you work more on your lead and your stance and your follow through and all the things that you need to bring back to the trap line with you. But you have to do it in the other disciplines. Like, there's no getting away with in sporting clays. If you're stopping your swing, you'll never hit that target. So absolutely branching out and shooting some more stuff helps a lot too. I usually shoot leagues. I shoot a lot. I shoot a league every week. That helps a lot. I shoot practice honestly more when I need to. If there's something going on that I need practice on, I'll shoot a practice, obviously. But really, I shoot mostly registered targets more than I
Okay.
do practice.
Okay.
Like,
Well, and that's in practice in other disciplines. I mean, I shoot a lot of sporting more than I shoot trap for practice, but I do register a lot of targets, you know, but it does help. Like you're saying, that's, you know, I'm trying to get Zach out there more to get some sporting in because he understands what lead means after we went to the national sporting clays this year.
Oh yeah, I got a lot of work to do, guys. I mean, this is not going to be easy converting me over, but I'm giving it all I got.
You'd have been at my bachelor party. That was a brutal day.
Oh, I bet. I don't like 50-yard crossers very much. I can tell you that. So I wanted to piggyback on Ricky's question. We kind of glanced over the mental. We talked about your training routine, but for you, Lauren, getting in that mental zone, I mean, being the second woman to ever win a world championship ring is a huge deal. What was the pressure you were feeling going into that? And how did you prepare yourself mentally to win these big events that you obviously are capable of winning?
Just like Ricky was mentioned earlier, the more you can think about just the one target at a time, more than the whole score that you're shooting for. We weren't shooting 40 targets. I was shooting a pair of doubles at a time. And then we shot 20 singles, and then we shot just the handicap event. And honestly, Zach, what you said resonated with me before we went out there. And I know you remember what you told me.
Yeah.
If you don't miss, you can't lose.
If you don't miss, you can't lose.
So I just kept telling myself that. And it got me through that shoot off specifically. That is what I kept telling myself. So a lot of things, instead of thinking about 100 things that you're doing while you're shooting trap, if you can think of one thing to center yourself to what you're doing more than, okay, make sure you're not dropping your shoulder and make sure you're not leaning forward too far and make sure you're not picking your head up. You're better off thinking of just one thing. I am personally, to keep myself centered of what I'm doing here.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I tell myself, see the target every time, but I combined all that stuff into that one word phrase. So it's all subconscious, you know, and going back to what, you know, Zach was talking to you about the shoot off of the Grand. I mean, it was a long time ago, 2013, but in that shoot off, it was you and I were shooting off for champion and runner up, but then also shooting off for possible runner up in AAA was Harlan Campbell and Mitchell Lovelace. They were shooting against each other. So we had a pretty good squad out there, and Lauren was leadoff in that shoot off. And I can remember like yesterday, you know, I got down the last post. I was like, well, we get done, it'll be just her and I out there, and we'll see how it goes. And the last target came out, and I was like, it's just going to be her out there. And everybody gave me crap.
Hit the concrete when that happened.
What's that?
I think my jaw hit the concrete. I don't know if you could hear it.
I missed, and I looked, I was like, well, I went over, I did shake your hand first, but I did give you a big hug, congratulated you. And honestly, that's what I think what got me through. Then the next month, I broke the 4x4 at Vernal, but I was shooting with Matt Bartholow, and Matt had missed early on the first trap in the handicap. And I was like, you know what? I ain't doing this crap like we did at the Grand and getting a shoot off.
No,
I'm just going to break the rest of these. So
that had to be just an emotional roller coaster, Lauren, because I mean, at that time you're thinking, okay, we're going out to do another 40 rounds with Ricky Marshall. And then you see a lost target and it's like, here you go on a dinner plate, right? Like, I mean, I've been there where guys have missed the first target or the last target. And I've been the guy that's missed the first target and the last target. And it's just, you don't see that coming. You never expect that.
no.
Yeah,
and Lauren, I never did get half the added money for that Grand deal though. I did give you half of the one in Indiana. So I think we should have split that.
Oh, we did split it. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's already split.
Yeah, they split it.
Well, Chris, Jake, Rick, is there any other questions that you have for Lauren today? Is there anything that we're missing? Lauren,
I got one.
Oh, go ahead, Jake.
If you could assemble a squad for the 1,000 out of 1,000 people shooting, who would you put on your like dream team squad? You don't have to be on it, but you can if you want to. Who would you put?
Honestly, that's tough. Right now, who's shooting on fire? I would honestly probably Ricky. I'd throw you on there.
He's on there every time.
Keith Ditto, for sure. Keith is a singles machine. Let's see, Hannah Martin. Not sure if you guys know Hannah Martin.
Oh yeah.
Single shooting machine too. I'm not sure if I would put myself on the 1,000 target squad. I would love to be on the 1,000 target squad. Let's see. I don't honestly know. Nini, you think you could hold up?
I mean, I'll give her hell.
You and I can be on there.
I mean, I'd say, you got Pat Lamont, you got Dagan Voigtman, you got, there's hitters out there. I mean, we got Joe Charnago. We had an episode with him. I mean, I'm filler material.
Yeah.
Filler,
we,
huh?
we call Zach our filler material, Lauren. He just,
Well, you never don't know. Zach can pull it out for sure.
Well, we try, and I appreciate your support. I know we had a lot of fun back in college. We were, I was the men captain of the trap team, and she was the female captain, and we kind of ran things together. So I got to spend a lot of time with Lauren, and we became great friends for sure. Lauren, is there anybody that you'd like to thank, or any sponsors that you'd like to thank before we get out of here today?
Absolutely. So obviously Bill Martin, since he's the one that handed me my Kohler that day, he got me on Team Kohler, and it's been awesome since then. And also Team Federal. I want to thank Mike Hampton for getting me on there and supporting me for the last several years too.
He's a good dude. We all love Mike Hampton. That being said, we appreciate everyone for coming and listening to another episode of Trap Talk. We'd like to thank our show sponsors. We have Wenig Stockworks out of Lincoln, Missouri. Please give them a try. Bobby Chambers, Luke Chambers, those guys down there, and Remington, obviously, for being supporting all the time, and Mike Hampton. So we'll check in with you next Friday for another episode. And thank you again, Lauren, for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
thanks,
for coming
Lauren.
on.
See ya.